next story is unpleasant and a little bit graphic, so jump forward 5 minutes if you're sensitive or if the kids are around. But I think it's a necessary story to share. A week or so ago, 60 Minutes Australia had a piece on Tara Reid. Tara Reid is the woman who's accused Joe Biden of seriously sexually assaulting her when she was a young woman working in his office. There's actually two stories here. There's a story of the allegations against Biden themselves, and then there's the story of how this story is hardly a story in America. Conservative US commentator Mark Levin covered all of this on his TV show on the Blaze TV platform this week, and I want to share a little bit of that with you. Here's Mark Levin.
The New York Times did a story or so, and they basically raised doubt about her. Same with the rest of the left. It's amazing. The Me Too movement is no movement at all. You don't hear a word from Hollywood. You don't hear a word from anybody. Other women have come forward, too, about Joe Biden. A Secret Service agent's wife, another woman came forward. Women came forward and talked about how he touched them inappropriately and put his face in their hair inappropriately. And when this comes up, it's either dismissed or ignored, or they bring up Donald Trump. Every situation involving Donald Trump has been analyzed. It's been reported. It's been discussed. It's been investigated. That's not an explanation or a defense for anything that Joe Biden has done over half a century in Washington, D.C. Well, Tara Reid was invited to speak on 60 Minutes. Not 60 Minutes in America, 60 Minutes in Australia. Now, last time I checked, Joe Biden's not running for president in Australia, but you got to give credit to the Australian media. They're really quite good, as opposed to the American media, which is clearly protecting Joe Biden. Let's take a look at what took place on 60 Minutes in Australia, because I guess this is going to be the only place in America that's going to take a very, very close look at it.
I worked my whole life to empower women. I worked my whole life to prevent abuse.
You saw him up close as a politician.
Correct.
What kind of political operator is he?
The kind where he smiles, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He would just put his hands on me. He would, whenever there was a meeting or if I would see him, usually he'd put his hand on his shoulder and then he'd run his fingers up underneath my hair, on my neck, and things like that. And I'd never experienced that with a boss.
Now, let's stop there. We've had many, many women come forward and say exactly the same thing now. And we've even seen many of these women on video.
And I didn't know him. It's not like there was like small talk, like where we would, you know what I'm saying? There was no reciprocal relationship or flirtation. There was nothing like that. So it was just very much him coming into a room, putting his hand on me or whatever.
Did you ever tell him, don't do that to me?
No, I was too scared to say that. I didn't say anything.
Did he touch other women?
Mm-hmm, yeah. He just didn't, he seemed to lack boundaries with women.
Some might try to pass the behaviour off as a sign of the times.
Reid was among several women who said Biden had touched them inappropriately.
It's now threatened to undermine his bid for the White House.
No, that ain't right, man. That ain't right.
But it's a pattern of behaviour that remains today.
Those Joe Biden shoulder massages, they're like magic. You should try one. Oh, you have.
Joe Biden recently vowed to be more mindful of personal space after 7 women came forward with claims of inappropriate touching.
I hear what they're saying. I understand it. And I'll be much more mindful. But I'll always believe governing, quite frankly, life for that matter, is about connecting.
You know, this is what's amazing. He's been told how to try and talk his way out of it. He's creating a different narrative about connecting, and he's a people person, and he's a toucher, and so forth and so on. Now, we've come across people like that, but you don't basically molest somebody. You don't fondle somebody. That's not a people person. That's a pervert. Go.
But what Tara Reid claims happened 27 years ago in an open corridor of the Senate is much worse.
So we were alone in this corridor and he said my name, and then the next thing I knew, he pushed me and up against the wall. He kind of moved his body towards me, and then he used his knee to separate my legs. He said, He said, I want to f you.
Jeez.
And he was whispering in my ear and he was kissing me and I was trying to get away from him. And then when I pulled away,
You what?
He had taken his hands and put them down my skirt and taken one hand and penetrated me with his fingers. And when I pulled away, he pulled back and he looked at me like kind of almost annoyed and he said, "Come on, man, I heard you liked me." And that's when I could see that he was angry and he put his finger kind of towards my face and he said, "You know, you're nothing to me. You're nothing."
Now let's just stop there. You have an individual who comes forward, who's very credible, who's a Democrat, who's a liberal, who works for the senator. She has no axe to grind. She's not going to make any money. None of that going on. And her allegation is grotesque. He raped her. What she discussed there is rape. That's what it's called. It's assault, yes, but it's rape. Joe Biden has never been seriously questioned about this. He's had a few friendly reporters, but he hasn't been pressed hard. Even in the last debate, it didn't come up. Biden, who's being portrayed by the Praetorian Guard, Democrat Party media, as a stand-up guy, as a family guy. He brings up his son, Beau, never brings up his son, Hunter. And it is shocking to me that we have to go to an Australian magazine program, 60 Minutes in Australia, not 60 Minutes in America, to get the facts, or at least to get the specifics. CNN has no interest in this. MSNBC has no interest. Quite frankly, I'm not aware of anybody has any interest in this.
That's American commentator Mark Levin on Life, Liberty and Levin, his program on the Blaze TV platform. Levin is one of my favourite conservative commentators because he's smart, and the show is a no-nonsense show. Blaze TV is accessible to Australians if you're looking for a good platform. It also carries the Dave Rubin Show and Stephen Crowder and many others. Credit also to 60 Minutes Australia, of course, for the excellent reporting that led to that piece.
The best way to get the podcast is to have it emailed to you. To get on our mailing list, simply drop us a line at theotherside@gmail.com. That's the other side, AUST, all one word, @gmail.com.
Well, there has been a lot going on in Australia and also a lot going on in America, and I hope we're going to be able to fit it all in with our North America expert, Ray Rudowski, joining us once again. Ray, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, and what a week it's been.
It certainly has. I want to start off with Trump's big rally, first one since he had coronavirus. Biden also had a rally that day. It was an in-car rally, and apparently only about 36 cars turned up. There were more Trump protesters at the Biden rally. What's going on with the Trump rally? He had a big audience.
Well, it's interesting that these rallies, I think, serve two purposes. Visually, they help energize his base, but the mainstream media seems to be turning them into a super spreader event. If you watch CNN, the way that they're covering it is, why are there so many people? Why is this such a dangerous event? Look at how close everybody is. You know, absent in that is the fact that there's zero enthusiasm for the Biden campaign. And
so once again, the mainstream media not reporting the darn news, not letting the people speak that are the people in the news, the elected president and Joe Biden, instead running their commentary over the top of everything all the time. Let's let Trump speak. I want to play a little clip from the rally. He got very ideological at one point. Let's have a listen to this.
Joe Biden and the Democrat socialists will kill your jobs, dismantle your police departments, dissolve your borders, you know that, release criminal aliens, confiscate your guns, no more Second Amendment, get used to it, destroy your suburbs, and drive God from the public square. That's what's going to happen. You saw in the Pledge of Allegiance during the Democrat National Convention, they took the word God out twice. They said, oh, we made a mistake, excuse me, and then it happened a second time. We said, well, I guess that wasn't a mistake, right? The radical left is hell-bent on destroying everything we love and cherish. They're enraged and unhinged out of vengeance, and nobody can believe what they're doing and where they're going, but we understand it. We understand their cancel culture. We're not letting them cancel culture us at all. We're proud of our country and we're proud of our heritage. They want to punish the middle class, expunge every last trace of traditional values, and replace the American dream with a socialist nightmare, and that's what it is. They want to turn America into communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela and ruin the lives of Hispanic Americans and all Americans. And I want to thank the Hispanic Americans down in Florida. You have been so incredible to Trump.
That's Donald Trump speaking at his first rally since coming out of hospital and returning to work after his coronavirus.
Well, and this looks at what separates this campaign from other campaigns or other election years is it seems to be based around ideology instead of issues. The last time in 2016, the big issue was immigration, build the wall, that sort of idea. That's completely ignored in this situation. And now it's like socialism versus freedom or something like that.
Why do you think that's happened? Why has that shift occurred?
I think that there's not a whole lot of discussion about the issues because I think that Biden is not fully in control of the Democrat Party agenda. You've got these two competing groups. One is like a moderate face, but behind that is this apparent radical agenda. And I think that conflict has somehow put the Biden campaign in many ways on the back foot.
Okay, on the subject of the debates, the second debate did not happen. That was supposed to happen this week. That was because the university said that it wasn't safe to host the debate and declined to host it. Then the debate commission decided to turn it into a virtual debate. Trump said he was willing to do the debate in person, but he refused to do a debate hiding behind a computer, as he put it. Here's what Trump had to say to Fox News on that.
No, I'm not going to waste my time on a virtual debate. That's not what debating's all about. You sit behind a computer and do a debate. It's ridiculous. And then they cut you off whenever they want.
Donald Trump speaking to Fox News there, saying he's not going to do the second debate, but there will be a third debate happening next week.
This is The Other Side with Damian Curry, a new podcast for the quiet Australians. Tell your friends to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and all major podcast platforms.
Hi, this is Damien. If you like the shortcut from The Other Side Australia episode 8, please check out the full episode on YouTube, where you can subscribe and get notified for free every week when a new episode goes up, and we go up every Friday morning. There's also Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio and other podcast platforms that you can check us out on. So do subscribe and become a regular Other Sider.